This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you we know the road ahead. Welcome in. We are live here on this Friday, wrapping up the week with a huge show all about the Falcons schedule release. We will do that for most of the show. Of course, we got the Braves starting a huge series with the San Diego Padres. My good friend Hudson Mason is going to join us to help break down the Falcons schedule. Make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube as well. We appreciate you guys, all the support. We've passed 1,000 subscribers already, just a little more than a month into this thing. So keep it up. Spread the word of Locked On Sports Atlanta. We're so happy you guys are with us. All right, let's get into the Falcons schedule here because we know a little bit more now than what we knew yesterday, last night, whatever it was. And the point is, and I've said this repeatedly, we're not going to sit here and we're not going to break down wins and losses on the schedule. We're not doing that. It's not worth our time. It's absolutely stupid. It's a waste of time. I have no idea what the roster is going to look like in September, let alone knowing what it's going to look like for a game in the middle of November. There are a couple of observations, and the biggest one that I'll make right off the bat, and I put this on Twitter last night if you saw it or not, but the Falcons Thursday night game, the one Thursday night game, that at least one Thursday night game that everybody has, isn't until week 10 at Carolina, which is November 10th. Their bye week does not come in December 11th, 14th. Bring those things to light right away because those are the opportune times that if you're going to make a quarterback change, you do it because you give your quarterback a couple of extra days or a full week extra of prep to get ready. It is hard to transition a quarterback on a week notice, on just from regular, Sunday, Monday reviewing game film, Tuesday is an off day, Wednesday you're right into the game plan for next week. It's just not a lot of time especially for a rookie quarterback to transition in. Usually, barring injury, they like them to be able to have some more time to digest the playbook, to digest the game plan, go over some things, go over extra film. And the Falcons simply just don't have that opportunity until week 10 at the earliest. Now, is the plan for them to start Desmond Ridder at some point this year? I don't know. I think it should be. I think he absolutely has to play. I think the Falcons have to figure out to what level he can or cannot play to know if they're going to draft somebody next year. So, that said, this may be a situation where starting him from week 1 may be best, and if he falters and fails, then you go back to Mariota, or there's got to be an opportune time where Mariota's got to get hurt, or there's got to be a situation where his play is so bad, Mariota's play is so bad that you have to bring him in. The only other thing I could reasonably see that's early on is October 30th, which happens to be week 8 against the Carolina Panthers when they are home. It's, the week before they're in Cincinnati. It's not a terrible travel. It's not flying back cross country. You're not facing an incredibly tough opponent, a very good defense or anything like that. There's just not, that's the only other real spot. And I'll go through the schedule here in a minute as to why I don't think any of these other spots are really opportune, other than you're going to start them from week 1 and just roll the dice and see what happens. So the big picture, Desmond Ridder does not have an opportune time to get into this thing. I'm sure that's something that the coaching staff is digesting or has digested. Folks, they've had the schedule for a while. It's not like the teams are seeing it. Have you seen all these release videos that come out there? They're so extravagant. They must have taken weeks to make. I mean, it's over the top with some of these things. You're all trying too hard. Just give me the damn schedule. Anyway, all right. So we know that they open up at home against the New Orleans Saints. Oh, by the way, I do like the Falcons getting the points. Don't be a chalk road favorite moron. Okay. New Orleans laying 3 is as chalky as it comes here in this spot. So I actually do like the Falcons, but nonetheless, we digress on point spreads. After the Saints, they travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams, and then they get the Seahawks. And the NFL likes to do that. Put them on the West Coast. If you're East Coast team, you go West back to back. If you're a West Coast team, you go East back to back. Falcons will probably stay out West somewhere. They'll stay in Los Angeles, or they'll fly up to Washington and work out of a local university there for the week. They won't come back to Atlanta. It's probably just easier in what they're going to do. On the upside, they get the West Coast trip out of the way early. when you're healthiest. So that's a good thing. Oh, by the way, that's your first back-to-back set of home games. And it's fortunately for the Falcons, it's their only back-to-back road games that they're going to play this year. So, this is a good thing to get it out of the way early when you're healthiest, when you probably are, well, you're not probably not playing your best football because it takes a couple of weeks to get going, but at least you'll have your full complement of starters, and the things that you've worked on in training camp are the freshest, and there's not that many changes being made. But still, the weaker of the two teams is on the second half of the back-to-back. So I guess that's a little bit of a plus in Seattle. I'd rather not be in Seattle first and then go face the defending Super Bowl champion Rams. So a little bit of a break there. They come back home for Cleveland. Going to be a very tough spot whether Deshaun Watson is playing or not. That is an incredibly talented team and a very good roster. Tough to say how that game would play out. Then after Cleveland, they go play Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. And then they come back for San Francisco in week 6 at home. And then they travel out to Cincinnati for week 7. So look at this stretch. Cleveland Browns, playoff caliber team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, playoff team. 49ers, NFC Championship game. Bengals, Super Bowl. That stretch sucks. The month of October for the Falcons is going to be horrible. It is not a good run. Okay? If the quarterbacks that we all assume are playing are Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, Joe Burrow. Yuck. That is bad. Then you get a little bit of a break. You come back home for the Panthers. I think that's probably the best opportune spot for Desmond Ridder to get in there earlier. They may wait till week 10 when they play Carolina 2 weeks later, but I would say this much. Here's the benefit to starting Watson. Here's against the Panthers on the 3rd, because 2 weeks later, he'll see him again, and you can actually gauge improvement against a team just 2 weeks later. That's why I think that's the most opportune time to start him, because able to see him make an improvement against the same opponent, because you don't often see an opponent twice in a 3-week span. It doesn't happen all that much in the NFL, but you really get a chance to see what he can do. So you get a home game against the Panthers, a home game against the Chargers, and then you go out on the road to the Panthers again. So you get back-to-back home games, no travel involved there. Good for Desmond Ridder. And then you go on the road on a short week against a team you've already played. Then he gets a little longer time to prepare to come back home for the Chicago Bears, a team that he could beat. That's a November stretch that works. Your Chargers are going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. That is an incredibly talented team. But, you get 3 or 4 home games in a row in that stretch there for Ridder to get really comfortable. And the Thursday night game sandwiched in between a very short travel trip to Carolina. That right there is really where I would have Desmond Ridder starting. They travel to Washington, come back home for Pittsburgh, get the bye week in week 14, and then they get the Saints either on a Saturday or a Sunday, depending on what the NFL does with their schedule. Christmas Eve, they're in Baltimore to play the Ravens, and then they come back home and finish up with the Cardinals and the Buccaneers. You go down the list of quarterbacks that they're playing here: Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady twice, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. I mean, dear Lord, that is a gauntlet run. It's not easy. So there's going to be a lot of challenges facing this team. Again, like I said, I think it's good that they only have 1 back-to-back road games. Those are always tough. So that's fortunate for them. They get the West Coast swing, the hard travel part out early. That's good. And then all your travel in the second half of the year, Carolina, Washington, New Orleans, Baltimore is the farthest you have to travel. Baltimore. So an hour and a half flight from Atlanta. So that helps them too as well. Other than that, the first 7 games of the season, leading up to the game on October 23rd with the Bengals, yuck. It is not a very good run to start the year. A lot of tough quarterbacks, a lot of tough defenses: Rams, Browns, Buccaneers, 49ers. And the defending AFC champ Bengals. Whew. That is a rough gauntlet in the front half of this season. This team better get ready. And their defense is going to be tested by some really tough quarterbacks. Again, Stafford, Watson, Brady, Burrow, Garoppolo, maybe even Lance. Who knows? The first half is a meat grinder for the Falcons. So we'll see how it all works out. All right, coming up next, my good friend Hudson Mason is going to join us. We'll dive a little bit deeper into the schedule, talk about Desmond Ridder getting ready to take over and when that best possibility is. You're watching and listening to A to Z right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Back with more on A to Z right after this.